and I said initially you had this resistance to doing a podcast, and I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about how there's all these podcasts everywhere. And I was thinking about how odd and strange and bizarre even just this kind of conversation is, right? I've got
Yep.
earphones on, I'm talking into a microphone, and you're in Vermont, and I'm in like Avon, France. And the whole thing is very strange. And I've noticed that, I don't know what kind of media I used to consume, but I'm listening to conversations, on podcasts, or even conversations that aren't even at the level of podcasts, right? Just between people on YouTube.
Right.
And it's very odd. What's going on? Like, what the fuck is going on with media? Like, what is happening to us? Like, on one level, I feel like I'm learning all kinds of shit, right? I'm getting a lot of information in the rabbit hole, so to speak. And on the other hand, I feel overwhelmed.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, I have very different media consumption habits. I mostly read books.
Yeah, you're more disciplined.
I spend very little time looking at the internet, and almost no time listening to podcasts or watching YouTube videos. What's happening is that the new point of extraction in the global economy is now your attention. That's what's happened. And so where it used to be a cultural industry was relatively benign, interesting complement to things like steel and automobiles. Now it is the case that the society of the spectacle runs on mining for your attention, down to the micro broadcaster and the platform they run on. And so, yeah.
But on the other hand, isn't this a little bit about what Ivan Illich was talking about? How we
could be
move away from schooling,
could be,
and opening up this sort of infinite education.
But you said you're
potential.
confused. You said you're confused, and that it's weird and alienating.
Well,
it could move us away from schooling, and it could be the concrete utopian dream of the early 90s when the internet began. But it's not that right now. An informational ecosystem is not an educational environment. And an informational ecosystem that runs on a system.
But there's little corners of the internet, like,
of course, totally. If you're
somebody listening to this could get a lot of fantastic information, right? I mean, and somebody who's maybe not as educated as you are, and not as gifted at reading books, because a lot of people don't even read books these days.
Correct. A lot of people don't even talk to other real people. Like there's a huge loneliness epidemic. So the other thing that's happening is the screen capturing attention, moving us away from one another and towards the images. And so I believe educational technology, digital technology, networked computers could make Illich's vision possible, but not the way it's currently being used. In my book, I lay out specific design principles for educational technologies that would potentially meet these standards, and they would always move you away from the screen towards other people, so that the proper education.
That's the issue. But even, I think that's sort of happening already. For example, I'm meeting Alexander in Paris tomorrow, and he came here, and we're meeting, and we met online. So I think that that's like a next step, right?
It is, and I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one noticing this, but you have to understand that YouTube in particular, and a lot of Facebook in particular, and Twitter in particular, this is about attention capture, and it's about making money off of capturing your attention.
Oh, certainly, certainly.
Period. And then if we keep glossing it over and saying, oh, but it has its benefits, and we should be on Facebook anyway, it's like, no, you're misunderstanding. That's like the doctor smoking cigarettes in the 50s. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, we know that this shit is actually disrupting our ability to conduct ourselves in a civilized manner. And we know that
but I have to also notice that we're talking and this is very interesting, and something's going on at the same time. I mean, I agree with you. I've probably become an addict of some kind, and I probably need to wean it off it.
Right.
Okay. I take your.
So, I mean, and the long form conversation, what we're doing now
Yeah.
is different than asynchronous text-based exchange, right? So asynchronous,
Oh, yeah.
quasi-anonymous text-based exchange, like Facebook posts, right?
Yeah.
And Twitter feeds.
Oh, I agree with that.
Like
That's 99%
asynchronous
noise.
text-based, like what, like, and that these things capture the amygdala and capture so much time and attention. And as they entrap us in that, they're selling advertisements next to
Oh,
it.
yeah. No, I have no argument.
So that they're actually making money off of their ability to capture the amygdala through asynchronous text-based exchange with the stranger who could be, here's the killer, a robot and not even a real person.
Yeah.
So it's like, why do people who have better things they could be writing
Yeah.
spend a ton of time writing there
Yeah.
and working for Facebook and working for Twitter? This is interesting to me. And again, part of how deep we are in the simulation and how far away we are from actually looking at what's actually happening.
It's like we're all on acid or something. It's like, I don't know. It's like the culture has been given acid. The whole culture has been given acid.
Well, yeah. Now you're back to the iatrogenic plague.
Yeah.
You know, we have all been.
We're back to that. Yeah.
Given a bunch of complicated chemicals, and including the I'm not going to go there. All right. Yeah. So now you've got me down the rabbit hole of even critiquing the sacred cow of social media.
Oh no, well, I mean, there's no question in my mind that that's terrible. That's like, you know, I don't know. I think probably Facebook is the worst.
Facebook could be single-handedly
the worst thing in the world
down America. I mean,
okay, that any kind you could say any extreme thing about Facebook.
You could actually.
It brought on every terrible thing that's happened. Brexit.
But that's an interesting point about Facebook,
what,
right?
Yeah,
that's how central what Facebook has captured is that you could speculate that it's having impacts on basically everything. It's the mental health crisis, it's socialization, it's nutrition, it's health, it's politics. It's like, because what they've done is captured our communicative infrastructure. I mean, this would have Illich rolling in his grave